Hello everyone, and welcome to the next edition of the Holland Land Office Museum's Artifact Video Series. My name is Ryan Duffy, I'm the director of the museum, and this week we're going to talk about one of the integral people of the Holland Land Company and really where it sort of gets its start in the United States, and that is Theophilus Cazenove. Now Cazanove was born in Amsterdam in October 1740, and for much of his early life he worked in his father's commercial trading business, mainly dealing with France and Russia. However, as became a common theme in his life, he soon ran into financial troubles. This was somewhat solved when he married his wife in 1763 and gained quite a bit of wealth from her family's commercial connections, which propelled him through Amsterdam society. This brought him into close connection with members of what would become known as the Holland Land Company. The first person that he became connected with was Peter Stadinsky, and Stadinsky was one of the founding members of the Holland Land Company, but his relationship with Cazanove actually predates the Holland Land Company. In 1789, Stadinsky actually commissioned Cazanove to become his agent to work his magic in the new United States, where there was seen as, by many wealthy European investors, particularly the Dutch, as a wealth of opportunity in the brand new country. So Cazanove came over to the United States and got settled in Philadelphia, became rather well connected in the higher echelons of Philadelphia society. Now his first job was to buy up as many bonds in the United States as he could for his investors in the United States, for his investors back in the Netherlands, as this was seen as a high profit opportunity, as they fluctuated so much that if you could buy low, you could definitely sell high. And this was his first task, what he was given. Stadinsky and his other employers to move on to other ventures. They first started off with investing in new canals and manufacturing opportunities in the United States, which proved to be somewhat successful for other opportunities. And this is where the Holland Land Company starts to formulate, as Cazanove actually convinces his employers that they should get into land speculation and invest in the wild lands of the new United States. The banking families of the Netherlands went for it and actually formed the Holland Land Company because of this. Now this process sort of begins around 1792, and it's at this point that Cazanove meets a rather influential figure in Philadelphia, which turns the tides of history, you could say. It's here he actually gets to know quite well Robert Morris. Now you know Robert Morris from the Morris Purchase, as he's the one who sells the land of Western New York to the Holland Land Company, but it's Cazanove who really gets that process started, and it's his quick friendship with Morris while stationed in Philadelphia that makes this possible. Now, once Cazanove gets Morris connected with the Holland Land Company, he's able to get Morris to sell the land that we know as the Holland Purchase to the Holland Land Company. And this happens about 1796. But this was not the only land purchase that he gets the Holland Land Company into. He actually gets them also into buying much of what we know as Western Pennsylvania today, basically from Erie, PA down. However, that venture does not work nearly as well as the one that happens in Western New York. Now, Cazanove is present at the Treaty of Big Tree, and it was his sort of purpose to represent the Holland Land Company as they attempted to extinguish the rights of the Senecas to the land. And this was the last step in the process in order to buy the land from Robert Morris. And it is Cazanove who is responsible for hiring Joseph Ellicott to do the surveying, even though Cazanove doesn't really see the fruits of the labor, as he's soon replaced by Paulo Busti. He was not the most judicious man, though he was a hard worker, but he was not very organized and didn't always take his job as seriously as maybe he should have. It seems his biggest goal while in Philadelphia was to present himself as a grand seigneur, was someone of high society, and he definitely played up on that, as he would be invited to many of the balls and galas and such of many members of Philadelphia's upper crust. However, this negatively affected his work as he was a very, not a timid man by any stretch, so he was willing to take risks, but to the point where he was careless and he did not keep good books and was not able to account for a lot of the money that he ended up spending, as many times he would even mix up his own personal finances with the company's finances. And this grew very tiresome for his employers back in the Netherlands, and which was the main reason why he was replaced by Paolo Busti about 1798, 1799. Even though he was replaced as the general agent, he was still employed by the Holland Land Company up until 1802. In 1794, Cazanove actually becomes a United States citizen, but he doesn't stay in the United States after his employment with the Holland Land Company essentially ceases. In 1799, he actually returns back to the Netherlands, specifically Amsterdam, and starts on new projects. His first project is to archive all of his writings and documents about the Holland Land Company and the history of the purchase up until that point. It is actually preserved today in the National Archives in Amsterdam. So you can actually go read Cazanove's writings about how the Holland Land Purchase went from his perspective and the books that he kept. After 1802, Cazanove gets into other financial dealings with other members of society that he met back in Philadelphia and actually moves to France. And that's where he passes away in 1811. Though Cazanove might not have been the best resident land agent for the Holland Land Company, and he probably caused more harm than good in some cases, his legacy still lives on throughout Western New York. His legacy throughout New York, but specifically in Western New York, as you have the village of Cazanovia and the town of Cazanovia out near Syracuse. You have Cazanovia College, which is also out that way, and you have Cazanovia Lake, and then in Buffalo you have the Cazanovia Creek and Cazanovia Park. So his name, maybe most people don't know where Cazanovia came from, but it comes from Theophilus Cazenove, the first general agent of the Holland Land Company. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Artifact video series, and I hope if you've missed any in the past, I think this is actually number 20 that we've done, feel free and go back and check those out. They are all on our YouTube channel, Holland Land Office Museum. They're also on our Facebook page and our website, so you can find them many places. And I hope that you have enjoyed this and that you continue to stick with us in the future, as I'm going to keep plugging along on these and bring you a new artifact every week.